Lately, I have been at a gym where they have a vibe plate. I don't know if anybody has heard of a vibe plate before, but it's a machine. It's kind of this thing that you stand on. It vibrates very, very fast, and you feel the movement through your whole body. And it's supposed to be very helpful with bone density, helping to create bone density. And I like it because it just feels really good. So one of the things that I've been experimenting when I'm on it is to notice different alignment, ways of being aligned in my body, and to see what I feel in this vibration moving through my body. I wish that we all had the opportunity to stand and sit and play on one of these things because it's very cool. And we talk so much about alignment in yoga, but it's sometimes hard to feel. Sometimes hard to feel whether we are aligned. And on this vibe plate, because you're vibrating, has such a clear indication of where your alignment is. And so I noticed that when I kind of hung back in my heels, for instance, I would get like incredible vibration up into my skull. And if I balanced across my whole foot well, I could feel it through my whole spine. So it's just interesting to me to notice the feedback that we get from the ground and how we're so used to it. We walk on the ground all day long that we forget that there's this feedback until we walk on something unusual, such as sand or I don't know, mud or really spongy grass versus concrete. We start to sense the changing structure underneath us and how that plays through our whole body. And of course, if you've ever spent a lot of time on concrete, like at a museum for hours and hours, you notice how it can fatigue your body to be on hard surfaces, that this ability to yield, to drop into something really is a beautiful way of lining our body with the earth. And we practice this in our yoga practice all the time. I mean, I don't think I've ever taught a class in the last few years where I don't say yield at least once, right? So I think it's a really good time of year because the earth is warming and softening for us to take a walk on the earth, like at a park or somewhere like that, and pay attention, like treat it as a meditative walk where you can feel the rebound through your body. So it may not be a vibration giving you strong sensation, but it can be something that can teach you the reverberation that moves through our body from the ground. And a lot of this can move through us well if we are supple enough in our body to receive. So if we're always hard, if we're strong and locked and concretey in our bodies, we're not going to be able to receive and feel this rebound energy very well. So the dance of our practice is always to seek strength balanced with softness, that we're the hard and the soft together, the stability and the ease together. And this is stated very clearly in the Yoga Sutra that this is a goal of ours, not just in our physical practice, but in our lives, in our minds, in our actions, to have this balance between always striving and always letting go. So notice today when we're practicing, if you can sense, we're going to do, some yielding practices, but see if you can sense what the ground gives you, that if you do feel aligned, usually when you have the sense of being able to receive and give through the yielding process, there's softness somewhere in your body. You're not rock hard, that the joints have to have a sense of unlocked spaciousness to them, that your breath has to be able to move through you well. So check in with the more subtle aspects of our practice as we kind of move through the paces. It doesn't even matter what posture you're doing. You can access this sense of yield in any posture, in any circumstance, lying on your back, standing up, being on your hands, anything, you can access this. So try to bring a little bit more attention to it and notice what it offers you. There's a softening, a melting within us that can happen even in our emotional states, if we let our body kind of teach us this way. Okay, so sit up straight and tall and be up on something if you want, instead of just being flat on the ground. And notice the plumb line of your body. See if you can feel the crown and where it lands over your shoulders and chest, and where that lands over your pelvis. So, do you need to kind of arrange yourself in good alignment, or does it naturally happen? And resist the urge to just push yourself up and push your chest out and your crown upward. See if you can soften enough. We're practicing this art of yielding. Now, if you were on a vibe plate right now, a vibration plate right now, and you locked every joint in your body, it would actually hurt. It wouldn't be something that would feel nourishing to your bones. So instead, let us get this little teeny bit of softness. So, move around, kind of get yourself free in whatever way you need to have that sense of freedom. And then once you're there, rest there and come into the breath. See if, just like when you water a plant and the water, oozes down into the soil and just kind of dives into all the spaces that are available to be drunk by the roots. See if you can let your breath travel into all the places where you can soften and receive the prana that the breath gives you. Check in with your joints, your jaw, your skull bones, your neck, your whole spine, really, all your vertebrae. How about the joints where your ribs meet your spine and your ribs meet your sternum? Can you let them loosen and soften just a bit? Is there a place for your collarbones to have some mobility? As you breathe in and out, can you notice the humerus bones moving in your shoulder joints? As your breath travels through your belly and into your pelvic floor, can you drop a little lower in your attention and notice if your sacroiliac joints have some mobility as you breathe? And even though we're sitting cross-legged, see if you can allow your breath to travel into your hip joints, your knees, your ankles. And place the palms together at your heart now. Take a breath and just enjoy the mobility of breathing. Let your exhales be full. Offer an intention. What's here? Let's release the hands. And find your way to your back. All right. So in any plane of movement, doesn't matter whether you're standing, sitting, lying on your back, lying on your belly, jumping around, being still, we have this ability to feel the weight of our bones and their connection to the earth. So this is very different than standing. So just notice, see if you can let your bones drop down and relax. Is there any part of you that struggles with the sense of yield, that releasing downward is just as much of a gift as trying to strive upward? So a lot of times, many of us have a harder time surrendering into the yield than we do pushing off. Both are a component to this alignment with the earth, that we yield and then we push and reach. So first, just yield. Drop your head, drop your shoulders, your arms, your legs, your spine, your pelvis. All right, now we'll add a little bit of reach into it. So reach the arms overhead and notice when you extend through your body, you're probably not leaning into the ground quite as much as you were before. And that's okay. So let's just experience the beauty of a reach in the body. You can stretch the right side a little longer than the left side. Get into that invigoration of a little back bend and the stretch through your muscles. Okay, let's bring our knees into our chest and rock around a little bit, swaying from side to side. Let's circle the knees, kind of rolling across the floor with your sacrum. And then go the other direction, rolling this way. Breathing well. And then let's open the knees up away from the midline and bring them back in. Just feeling what's here. How do your hips feel today? How's your pelvis? And then right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground. Feel a good squeeze. So hug your hip and knee, roll around in your ankles, start to wake up and stretch some of the fascia and tissues and muscles and tendons and ligaments. And then change sides, left knee in, right leg long on the ground. And feel into the movement of your body here. So what's happening with your ankles, your feet? Give a good squeeze into the knee. All right, stretch your body like all your limbs outward. Stretch out and reach into your fingers and toes, wiggle them. And then bring your knees into your chest. Pick up your head and give a hug. Again, opening big and wide, just like recruiting your whole body into the fold of awareness. Release in. Okay, release your head down onto the ground. Grab onto your feet, happy baby pose. So drop the knees toward the ground. Let's rock a little bit, moving left to right. And just feeling into your back. Give a good press down of your hands into your feet and press up with your feet into your hands. All right, and then put your feet down onto the ground, hip width apart, and just windshield wiper your knees. You can move your head in opposition, just warming up the spine a little bit. One more star. Stretch out your limbs. Exhale, knees and head come up, and then relax. Roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and knees. Okay, so once you get onto all fours, enjoy some movement of some cat-cows, arching and rounding the spine, taking your time. Pay attention to each little vertebrae that you can open, getting a little bit of freedom in between our vertebrae. So notice the ways in which you get stuck. What are your habits of holding your body in tight or locked positions? A lot of this can be in our breath. We can hold our breath unconsciously when we're concentrating or when we're worried or afraid. So just notice if the breath isn't moving, prana is not moving. So let your first line of trying to find the suppleness of our body be an attention and intention of keeping the breath moving. All right, move your spine around any way you want to move your spine around. So this is your opportunity to kind of sense what's available movement potential-wise in me today. How am I doing? Is there any part of me in my spine that needs a little support or care? And drop back into child's pose. Stretch the hands out in front of you. Inch the hands forward and feel that sense of reach. Okay, relax your skull softly toward the ground. You can rock a little bit side to side if you want, or be very still. Notice your breath traveling down your spine. Notice the changing shape of your pelvic floor and of your whole pelvis as you breathe in and breathe out. Okay, let's walk the hands over to one side on the mat and encourage the ribs to open up now. So make room for breath. Feel your head relax and soften. Drop some weight into the sit bones. And over to the other side, inching the hands to this way. Drop some weight. Head is relaxed. Breathing deep. And then release and relax and come out of there. Come back up onto all fours. Curl your toes under and stretch back towards child's pose with your feet really open and wide. Spread open the bones of your feet. We're only going back as far as our feet will allow. So we allow our feet to highly sense, the more awake and aware and alive the bottom of our feet are, the more we have to experience with our yielding. And then come back onto all fours and just tap your feet, let them relax. And then inhale, lift your left arm up to the sky. When you exhale, drop down in and twist. Gaze toward the floor, breathing deeply. Enjoy opening the rib cage up. All right, face the ground, slide your arm back a little bit so our collarbones are broadening. Drop back towards child's pose, stretch the outside of the shoulder a little bit more. And then inhale and reach that arm back up in the air, hand down onto the ground. Second side, arm lifting. Exhale, slide that shoulder underneath. Twisting, you can have a little weight into your opposite hand on the ground. Try not to push real hard, but yield that hand and then push a little bit. So you feel the twist deepen. Breathe well. And slide out of there, face the ground. So we're not going all the way out. We're just dropping back towards child's pose. Our arm is still underneath us, but our chest is facing the ground. Letting the back side of the shoulder open up. Inhale, reach that arm back up in the air, stretching high, hand down onto the ground. Now we get to move into dog pose. So as you lengthen up, see if you can get the feeling that we actually come back down on all fours again, just for a moment. Let's practice this here before going up into dog pose. So what does it feel like to unlock your joints? So a lot of times we might think that's sagging, right? And like dropping your ribs and your chest toward the floor. So find stability in your core so that you're stabilizing your spine. But instead of pushing the hands so far away from the earth where our elbows are locked and our ribs are locked and our shoulder blades are locked, see if you can have a little bit of softness of the wrist joints, the elbow joints, shoulder joints, so we can feel the earth a little bit more. Put a little extra weight into your left hand and then rebound that, push off and take weight into your right hand. And see if you can do this with soft elbows, soft wrists, so that we've noticed the difference of being able to drop into the earth and then push off, drop into the earth and push off. And if you want to feel the contrast, lock your elbows and your wrists and your shoulders, maybe push the floor strongly away and go weighting yourself left and right. And you, of course, can still do it. We can bear more weight into one side than the other, but the transfer through our torso will feel very different. So unlock again, yield into one Feel that transfer through your torso over to the other side. So let's not take any part of our body out of the equation by locking the joints that are meant for freedom. Okay. All right. So skirt your hips back toward the heels, shake out your wrists for a moment, and then place them back down and now come up to dog pose. A long, spacious spine. All right, so enjoy. Pedal your feet a little bit, kind of get into your posture, let your body open and awaken, and find your breath. So remember, nothing matters more than the ability to feel our breath move through our body. All right, so same, can you practice that yield here? So often I say yield and then push and then reach. So what does that mean? Soften your elbows and your knees. Yield your weight into your hands and your feet. Feel the give into the soft earth and then push off to lengthen and reach through your body. And can you have that oscillation back and forth between the yield and the push, the sense of being able to dance with the ground instead of just lock yourself to the ground? How's the breath? Is it moving through your body? Can you melt your head and skull? Can you find softness through your face? Can you spread out your hands and your feet so there's more surface area to feel and reach with? All right, walk your feet. Come forward into Uttanasana. Fold deeply. Let your knees bend as much as you want. Kind of shimmy your ribs off your hips. Shake your tail. Let yourself relax. Inhale for a halfway lift. So now there's a little push off, right? Can you feel that you're pushing off the earth to feel that length and reach in the body? And then exhale and melt to feel the earth. Bend your knees, relax your head. Twice more. Inhale, push off your feet, strong and straight, unlocked still, but strong and straight. And then melt and fold. Bend your knees, drop your head. Last time on your in-breath, extend and lengthen, push off the ground, feel the four corners of your feet, and then melt and relax. Right. So climb on up to stand when you are ready. And by far the best way to practice this yielding is to feel ourselves when we're standing. So much of our posture comes very habitually without attention. So, how do you tend to be? Are you a pelvis pusher outer, a knee locker, a chest forward, a chest slumped? Do you like one foot more than the other? So pay attention to your habits when you're just standing. So move away from perhaps what the habits are, and let's imagine that we're trying to feel a vibration come all the way from the earth. So feel the four corners of your feet, spread them out so you have a lot of surface area. Try to get your toes, so just work on your feet for a minute. Try to get your feet to spread and widen and wake up. And then soften your feet. So you don't want to have them so spread that you lock your feet joints. Have just as much surface area as you can comfortably receive. And then allow your feet to receive. I have 2 mats and a rug on top of a wood floor. So I have a lot of cushion to move through to feel the sturdiness of the wood floor, but I can feel it. So see how far down can you drop your proprioception. And then soften your knees. See if you can align your body so your crown is over your pelvis, over your shoulders, over your pelvis. And we're not locking our knees out and arching our low back. So slight, teeny bit of core support. Have the collarbones stretch just a little bit so that we're not slumping forward. And notice when your head feels like it's over your crown, is that normal feeling for you, or do you feel like your head's back further than it usually is? This is common. We all tend to lean our head forward in our day a lot with our phones and our driving and our computers and everything that leans us forward. So let's see if we can just take that back seat with our skull. And once you feel like you have this good alignment of soft knees, see what you can do to breathe into this spacious, aligned body. What part of you breathes well? What part of you doesn't breathe so well? Can you feel your breath at your diaphragm? Can you feel your diaphragm drop? Imagine that you are going down an elevator and see if you can feel your pelvic floor on your inhale drop. See if you can feel your knees soften and drop. See if you can feel the soles of your feet, like another diaphragm dropping into the earth. This is a lot of downward energy, and now let's find that rebound. Can you drink from your feet? Like you're the roots of the tree, drinking up all that prana. Can you travel it up through your knees, up through the pelvic floor, up through the diaphragm, spreading across your heart, all the way to your crown. So you can dance with this in lots of different ways. You might try on the inhale going down and on the exhale drinking up. You might switch that. So just experiment. This is all about just trying to perceive the ground and our relationship to it. Okay, let's begin to move. Inhale, arms lifting high to the sky. And then exhale, hand fold forward, relax your skull. Inhale for a halfway lift. And then melt and fold. Step your left foot back. Our right foot is forward, coming to a lunge. So now we often find, that length and space in our spine. Yield your feet. See if you can give to the earth and rebound off the earth. Yield, a little bit of a push, and then a reach. Try to have those three actions in the body be very synchronized and even, equal. Move with breath. Let's start to bend and straighten the front knee. So slow and steady so that you can feel, this is very subtle work, to feel yielding is very subtle. It's not something that's so easy for a lot of people. So just do your very best to kind of dive into the deep corners of your body, to feel that your breath is moving you. And then once you're ready to stay, ground into your lunge. So by ground, I mean yield, drop your weight. See if you can feel how secure and stable you are with the earth, and then rise up. So once you're up, feel again, yield, and then the push and the reach. Okay, so try not to let any one of those three sections of yielding overpower the other. You can put your arms anywhere that supports. You can bend your back knee. You can straighten your back knee. What feels good? Release your hands down onto the ground. The back foot is coming forward. Come into a fold. Relax. Melt your head. A halfway lift. The spine is growing. And release again. Step your other foot back. Now our left foot is forward, our right foot is back. You can do this pose with your knee on the ground if you want. If that helps you get a better surface area and contact with the ground, that's another way of moving. And let's go ahead and bend and straighten the front knee. Breathing well. Can you feel that your breath is moving prana around and through your body? Just try not to go anywhere where the breath locks up or can't penetrate. See if you can be patient and wait for the breath to tell you when it's ready. All right, let's ground the feet. Come on up to this side. So again, arms can be up high, arms can be down low, or anywhere that serves this feeling of being able to yield and then push off wherever you're contacting the floor into this spaciousness and reach of the body. Try not to let the reach overpower the yield. Try not to let anything happen without breath. So we're breathing through the postures. Melt something. Can you stabilize and be strong, but also melt something? This balance of effort and ease, the stability and the surrender in equal measure. Which do you struggle with more? Do you struggle more with stability? Do you struggle more with surrender? You know, where, and this can be different for different occasions, different days. Release the hands down and come back to dog pose. All right, so this is a great posture to practice this in, because you have 4 points of contact on the ground right now. So allow your body in dog pose to yield into the earth and to feel that rebound reaching through your body as you slightly push off the earth. So yield and a push, and then feel the reach. Where in your body do you experience that? What's surrendering easily? What's giving strength to the pose? How is your breath interplaying with all of this? All right, let's come forward into a plank. And with plank, you can always put your knees on the ground if you need to. Let's notice here. So often in a pose like a plank, we tend to lock. We tend to lock our elbows, lock our chest, lock, lock, lock. So what can you unlock? How can you stay stable in your core, but unlock some of the joint spaces so you can yield your hands and push off? Feel the reach through crown to feet. How's your breath? Is it moving with you? And then place your knees, come down onto the ground, shoulder roll a couple of times. Inhale, cobra pose, find the breath. Exhale and melt again. We're gonna come up and stay in a cobra for a moment, which is unusual. Usually we kind of lift and go back down. So as you come up, be mindful, unlock something, shoulders soft. Root the hands into the ground. Can you feel the yield? Can you feel the push? Can you feel the reach all the way to your toes? How's the breath? Relax and let go. Move your blocks out of the way if they're in the way. We're going to take our left knee high up toward our armpit, forearms on the ground. And just allow your hip to open here. Feel your breath. And then we're going to cross the right arm over to the left and twist open. Let both hands reach the ground. Now it's a very different feeling of yielding. So when you yield, it's a little softer to let your hands go into the earth. Where is the sense of reach in your body? Can you lengthen crown to tail? Is there still that oscillation between yield and a push and a reach? Move within your breath. You might find certain poses, it's a little easier to yield. Certain poses, it's a little easier to push. Certain poses, it's a little easier to reach. Come back. Let's go ahead and bring the other knee up. Okay. Forearms on the ground or lower, whichever feels good. Extend through the spine. Discover your breath. Remember, we're not going anywhere without it. It's the primary attention. Okay, let's cross the left arm over to the right, swing open, let your knee leave the ground as much as you want to. 2 hands, back of hands on the earth. Okay, so yield, give weight, and then feel the sense of a little bit of push and reach through the body. Balance things out. A full breath here. Okay, and then relax. And come back to center. Come up onto all fours, move the spine around. Let's take our left leg straight back behind you in the air. 2 hands on the ground, soft elbows, yield. And then when you're ready, lift the other arm up. So our right arm and our left leg are in the air. Now we just have 2 points of contact, your hand and your shin on the ground. Can you feel that sense of yielding into the earth and then a little push? Maybe you press your shin into the ground. Can you feel the reach in your body? Is there anywhere that the breath is reluctant to go? Is your elbow, your left elbow soft? And then relax and switch sides. Take your left shin onto the ground, your right hand onto, well, both hands to begin. Lift your right leg up in the air, stabilize. So remember, we're trying to find the balance of effort and surrender. So that doesn't mean no effort. We're not just surrendering into the earth. We're balancing those pathways. Okay, so feel into your breath. Let's reach the arm out in front of you now. So you have a shin and a hand making contact. Yield and then push off and reach through the body. Notice the breath. Where is it easily going? Where not so much? Stabilizing with your core. We're working muscles here. We're not passive, but we're also not locked out. Okay, hands down onto the ground, dog pose. Extend through your spine. Find your breath. Open up your legs again. Feel the 4 points of contact. Let them yield. Feel the full hand. Where do you like to live in your hands? Are you in your outer wrist? Can you spread out through your hands? Yield and then push off and reach through the body. Melt your skull. Let your face relax. Come into your breath. And walk your feet forward. Again to Uttanasana. Fold. A halfway lift. Spine is growing. Relax again. Seat down, rise up. Come into chair pose. You can take a block between your thighs. You can take your legs together. You can take your knees apart, whatever, or feet apart, whatever feels good. And when we come down into, a bent knee version, we feel the earth differently. So stand up and feel the earth. And then notice as you drop weight and bend your knees, what is different here? Can you feel the different relationship you have with the earth? Drop weight a little bit deeper into your heels. We're not losing your toes, but we're sinking the heels. Maybe bring your arms into that extended reach position. Find your breath. Full inhale, full exhale, relax the shoulders. Breathing deep. And then we're coming up onto your toes. Now that we're just on our toes, see if you can still yield, just your toes. And then feet back down onto the ground. Relax your shoulders. Pause here for a moment again. Unlock what likes to lock. Strengthen what likes to sag. Move the breath into your full being. All right, so move your blocks off your mat and come sideways so that we are standing sideways on our mat. Feet are wide, legs are wide. Turn your toes slightly out. Okay, standing star, arms are wide. Now with our legs wide like this, it's easy to slam your knees back and to push your pelvis forward or just lock at the hip joints and lock at the knee joints, lock at the shoulders. So unlock a slight micro bend, that we're not bending our knees, but a slight micro bend. Do you have a different relationship with the earth when you micro bend your knees? So lock your knees, feel the ground, unlock your knees and feel the ground. We're going to move through a little bit of left to right here. So we're going to come bearing weight into our right leg, transfer that weight over to the other side. You can do whatever you want with your arms. We're just warming up the sense of changing, shifting our weight from one leg to another. All right, so I'm going to try to explain this. This is one of those things that I think is hard to do, just looking at me two-dimensionally. But imagine your pelvic bowl. We're going to do a figure eight. And so we're going to turn the pelvis a little bit to the right and swing it back and then to the left. So like we're making the infinity symbol or figure eight with our pelvis, okay? So same, arms can naturally move, but we're going to bend into our right knee, turn the pelvis, And then we're going to turn it the other way and bend into the left knee. So once you get the hang of it, and you can look at me if you're like, what are we doing? And I'm not doing anything on, you don't have to look like me. But generally speaking, try to move your whole pelvis and knee and then changing directions. So we're just moving our weight bearing into one leg and then into the other. And the arms can kind of flow however you want them to flow. Try not to go too fast because it's easy to just be like, doom, doom, doom. We want to really feel the weight, give yield, and then push off and feel that transfer through the pelvis. This is one of the ways that you can really tell if your yielding is giving you something, because we have the ability to move through joint spaces into a different side. So if we were locked out, the transfer of weight would be more difficult from right to left and from left to right. All right, so is your chest open? Are you leaned way forward? Are you breathing? See if you can just enjoy as slow or as fast as you want to go. You can move the arms in all sorts of ways. Now we're going to transfer this a little deeper now. So your toes might need to adjust a little bit different way. We're going to go deeper into the lunging so that our center of gravity, we're still doing these figure eights with the pelvis, but we're just getting into a little bit more depth. Yield, and then push off to the other side. A lot of times we feel the push be something that lifts us up from the earth, and instead, let the push just transfer weight from one side to the other. All right, and then slow that down and be centered, bearing weight in two legs. It doesn't matter how far down you go. Drop weight into your feet, center of gravity low. Breathe, diaphragm, pelvic floor, feet. And stand up, turn your feet straight and fold forward. Relax. Coming into Pasrita. Okay, so your knees can get locked in the crossfires here. So let's have our shin bones move forward, our thigh bones move back. So that we have a softness, a surrender within our knees. Spread out the bones of your feet, yield and push off. Feel the reach in your legs. Melt your head with your breath. Now, keeping your hands on blocks or the ground, we're going to bend again, but this time no figure fours. We're just going from one side, or not figure four, but figure eights. No figure eights, just going from one side into the other side. Just letting our inner thighs stretch. Let your knees guide the way. So any tension you feel in your joints, respect. And then we're going to come into a very deep squat. So feet are still out wide, elbows inside knees. Drop your hips, spread open the bones of your feet. Yield your feet and feel the push off. What happens when you yield? What happens when you push? How is your breath? Okay, back swinging to the front of your mat for dog pose. Lengthen through your spine. Big breath. Can you feel into the natural yielding? And then give yourself to the plank. Come forward, shoulders over wrists. Unlock something. That doesn't mean get sloppy and saggy, but balance a little bit of your effort. Move the breath. Oscillate your belly muscles, your ribs on the breath. Find the ground, go all the way onto your belly. Arms can be out to the sides, overhead or back, your choice. We're going to lift up on the in-breath and then melt on the out-breath. Lift up a little bit on the in-breath, melt on the out-breath. One more time, lifting up, melting down. Put your hands on the ground underneath your forehead. Pick up your feet. Windshield wiper your knees left and right. Come up onto all fours. Try to make the transitions full of awareness, where we're breathing, we're yielding, we're pushing. Okay, lengthen through to dog pose. Find your breath here. 4 points of contact are going to turn into 3 points of contact. So right leg lifting high, yield and push off those 3 limbs. Exhale, bring your foot forward to a lunge. Climbing on up, turn and open up to the side, Virabhadrasana 2. Okay. All right, so as we come into this pose, let's move with breath. We'll stand straight and lift our arms, and then we'll exhale and come into Virabhadrasana 2. Twice more with movement. You don't have to have your arms go overhead. You can bring them wherever you want to bring them. All right, and as you find Virabhadrasana 2, just rest here, yield, give your weight evenly through both feet, and then push off evenly through both feet. Find it with the breath. Can you feel the diaphragm move? Can you unlock the shoulders? Can you have strength and a sense of reach in your arms without locking everything up? Reverse your warrior, lift that arm to the sky, find your breath, and then Parsva-Konasana, arm overhead. Now same, where's your process here? Can you give to the earth? Can you feel your feet? Can you rebound and push off so you have that length and space? Feel your way into your breathing. Come back up. Find your way to the second side. I'm going to put a block to support my knee. You don't have to do this, so I'm just doing this because my knee hurts a little bit. So I'm not going to move, but you guys move. Straighten your legs, arms up, and then exhale into Virabhadrasana. I guess I can move with my block. Arms, legs straight up, maybe arms come together, and come back down into Virabhadrasana. One more time. And as you're ready, now we're going to stay. We're going to find this position and stay here. Drop weight into the feet, soften the shoulders down, stay rooted and grounded in your feet. So yield, push off, reach through somewhere in the body. Don't forget to yield. And yielding, of course, we start at our feet. But what else can you yield? Can you yield the diaphragm? Can you yield the shoulders? Give your weight down and then reach and expand. Drink up with the breath. Reverse your warrior when you're ready. Open up those ribs. Find your breathing. And then Parsva-Konasana when your body is ready. Arm stretches overhead, or maybe you keep your hand down at the side. Can you yield your legs? Can you yield your feet? Don't forget about that back foot. Feel it, reach it, and then just extend through your body, finding your way into your breath. On out of there. Turn back to the front of your mat. Last dog pose. Okay, so give yourself over into this yielding, the pushing and reaching. The last plank, stabilize through your core, inner thighs lifting with your hands. Can you yield? Can you unlock your elbows? Unlock your shoulder blades, move them down. Find your breath moving. Find the ground. Any back bend that you want to do, full breath in, full breath out. Come back up onto all fours. Move about in your spine, and eventually, once your spine feels free, come back to child's pose. All right, so just allow yourself to sink here, to drop weight, to feel that sense of surrender. Okay, let's come on to your seat when you're ready. Sit on the edge of a blanket if you prefer that. I prefer that. And we're simply sitting cross-legged for a moment. Just let your legs relax for about a moment. We're going to stretch our legs here. Straighten both your legs out. Now grab a strap if you so choose. We're going to take the strap around our feet for Paschimottanasana. Lift up through your spine. Find a breath. Lean forward. Now, if you have the strap, you can kind of tug on the strap to help you keep the lift of your spine. But let's yield the legs. Drop weight of your femur bones, heads of your femur bones. Drop your heels. See if you can feel into the weight of your legs grounding you. So the yield is through your whole back leg, and then you reach through your spine. Back up. Going to cross. If you can do this one of two ways. If your knee is like this, we're going to take the right leg and tuck it underneath so our right heel is next to our left sit bone, or our left hip, and the left leg is crossing over. And if this is not happy for your knees, you can just take that bottom leg and straighten it out. Okay, so your choice. On the pose with the bent legs, you'll get a little bit more into your hips. Okay, lift up, lift your pelvis off the blanket and tip your pelvis a little bit more anteriorly. So you feel both sit bones. Try not to list off to the side. Both sit bones are yielding. Now, even here, before we twist, can you yield your pelvis? Can you feel the sense of that pushing off slightly so the spine grows without tension, without locking? And then we're going to find a twist. So hand behind your back, left hand behind your back, right arm can come up in the air and the elbow can come to the outer knee, or you can hold the knee, or you can wrap your elbow. So find whatever position is best. All right, so discovering your breathing, lift the spine. Come back to center. How is your breath? Okay, so we're going to change sides. Your left leg can be straight, or you can put your left foot next to your right hip so that your knees are bent. Cross the right leg over, foot places on the ground. Notice if you want to lift off to the left, see if you can drop evenly through your sit bones. Before we go anywhere, let's just be here. Sink your sit bones down. Feel the yielding. Anywhere that's touching the earth can yield. Yield, and then push off a little bit and reach through the spine. Try not to push so hard that you lock. So we're constantly in this ebb and flow of yield and push, not letting one take over for the other. How's your breath? Hand behind you. to support you. You can hook your elbow to the outer knee, you can wrap your forearm around or your hand, whatever works. Shoulders down, chest up. Open your collarbones, maybe turn your head. Are you still able to yield your sit bones? Are you still able to reach through your spine? Back round. And let's come on to our back. Lie down for a moment. Let's bring our knees into our chest. And then decide, is there anything else your body needs? Do you need a quad stretch on your side? Or do you need a hip stretch like reverse pigeon? Or do you need a happy baby pose? Or a little legs up in the air? Or nothing at all? So just find your way into whatever the path to Shavasana is for you. Now, as you settle, and there's no rush, if you're still doing some postures to let your body be at ease, then continue with your postures until your body is at ease. When you do get here, this is the ultimate pose of surrender, right? Shavasana is our practice for this deep work of letting go. And a help in this is to understand the weight of your body, to feel yourself yield. So now there's no push that's needed. It's just the settling into the earth. I think everyone knows the feeling of resting on warm, soft earth. So put yourself in your favorite place, whether it's grass or sand or any other, maybe it's even water. Okay, so just place yourself into something that you can release into. And your body, and notice if there's any place within you that struggles with release. Can you yield your head, the whole spine, the pelvis, your shoulders, the full weight of your arms, full weight of your legs. Keeping our breathing. Move yourself again into the weight of your body. Feel a sense of spaciousness in your joints. And begin to move in any way that feels best for you to transition. As you come up to sit, notice your breath. Let's offer our loving kindness outward. Share your energy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.